Good morning, testing 1, 2, 3. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Saturday show. There was no show yesterday. We had technical difficulties. I spent a good 20 minutes trying to get the stream ready yesterday. It simply wouldn't work. But we are back and we have a lot to go through. I've made, fortuitously, on Thursday, I think, I've made a Bitcoin price prediction video. Price predictions in terms of the bottoms, the timescales to the bottoms and stuff like that. And we're actually going to run through that today on stream because nobody watches videos anymore. Videos must clearly be so 2022. So what we're going to do is we're going to have the same kind of stream that we would have had on Friday, but we're going to have a section where we go through the Bitcoin chart bit by bit. I want to give you basically the numbers that I have so you understand where I'm coming from. I decided I was going to go back and take all the noise away and simply look at patterns. That's what we've done. We've got some patterns. Do I think they're going to come true? No. But have I been wrong before? Yes. So clearly we should listen to the patterns and not me. We've got some X-Files then. We're going to be talking about the Bitcoin sell-off, the Bitcoin cycle. We're talking about Wash. We're going to be talking about layer wars. We're going to be talking about XRP, HBAR, and Asta, all in today's show. And of course, a few thank yous, a few good mornings to people in chat. Manjeet is here. Good morning, KB. Hidden is here. Mags is here. And over on Binance, I know we've got Queen in chat, but I haven't seen too many other people, so I don't know who is about. But before we begin, let me very quickly, first of all, fix the positioning of my camera. Now, I left Bitcoin in your capable hands, and I went away and we did a stream, and then we had Thursday off to make videos. I left you for 2 days with Bitcoin, and what did you do with it? You broke it. You clearly threw it out the window. Okay, you dunked it in water. You probably boiled it at some point. We're coming in at $68,000. Now, that's quite a significant number for those of you that have been in crypto for more than maybe 5 minutes. We're going to look at why 68,000 is so important in a minute. Ethereum, you broke below $2,000. I don't know what you did to it. This teaches me one valuable lesson. I can't leave you alone with Bitcoin for more than 5 minutes. Okay, which means I should probably stream every day because you can't be trusted. You can't be trusted to play nicely with crypto. XRP 141. I mean, I think we nearly broke $1. BNB 635. Solana. I think I put some comments into our Telegram group. I bought Solana. I think I bought it at $93, and then I bought it again at $81, $82, something like that. And as I said, if Solana breaks down even further, we're going to buy even more. And the reason we're going to buy even more, of all the crypto that I hold, the only one I personally believe I'm underweight on is Solana. Okay? Now, there are many other tokens that you can buy. Okay? But I don't hold enough Solana. I have more XRP, more Cardano than I have Solana. And given that Solana is my third favorite, probably behind Ethereum and Bitcoin, it's crazy to not have more Solana. So I'm underweight on Solana, and this is the perfect opportunity for me to stack up. I probably want to buy another 20 to 30 Solana, and I've bought probably so far another 3-4 Solana. So obviously, dollar cost averaging in means you don't buy it in one go. I'm going to be buying it over the next probably 3 or 4 months. And if my predictions for Bitcoin is correct, I've got a good 8 months to buy Solana. And it probably will come down to $50. But I'm starting the dollar cost averaging now because it's under $100. So I know in a year, 2, 3 years time, if it's at $150 or $200, I know my DCA price is easily going to be under $100. That's not financial advice. That's the token that I'm underweight on. Now, Cardano has lost 80, 60, 40, and now clearly 30 cents. Okay, Cardano is back. I think Cardano's been hit more severely than the majority of the tokens. Hyperliquid is likely to flip Cardano. That is having a stellar performance. There were people asking me at $26 and $28 if it was going to go a lot lower. It went down to $20, $21. We're now back at $33. It's outperforming the market. That should tell you what you need to know about Hyperliquid. Further down, Chainlink. Chainlink below $10. I mean, you got to pick the winners, but clearly Chainlink has to be on that list. So they've taken a bit of a smack, haven't they? Taken a bit of a pounding. Now gainers, Midnight is up. Midnight is actually up 11% over the last 7 days, which is incredible. Not really a lot to shout home about. These are just a few bounces, and that's probably going to be the theme of the show when we get to that later on, is how high do we bounce? But we'll talk about that later. Now, World Liberty Financial, anything below 11 cents, for me, is a buy. I bought more World Liberty Finance. I bought more on Thursday. I don't have a big bag. Okay, I said this to somebody in a private message about it. I'm stacking this token, but I'm stacking it at lower rates than I'm stacking Solana, because when you build a portfolio, you should have allocations. So, for example, Bitcoin, Ethereum should be higher allocations than maybe Solana and XRP, and then you should have an altcoin allocation, and that should be a lot less. So, for example, if I wanted to get a 10% allocation in Solana in my portfolio, I'd only be looking at getting a 2 to 3% allocation of World Liberty Finance. You don't buy all of the coins to have an equal weighting of each, because that makes no sense. Bitcoin should be number one. Now, having said that, I am probably going to buy some more World Liberty Financial. Pump is down, Quant is down, there's a lot of losers down there, but to be fair, we've had a little bit of a bounce. So the markets aren't healthy. Market cap is 2.34 trillion. We did get back above $3 trillion, and then we got absolutely smashed to the downside. So much so that our good friend Bitcoin, which was looking to probably flip Microsoft and probably get into the top 6, is now sitting in 13th position. It has dropped out of the top 10. That is how dramatic this fall has been. But still, I don't think that we are going to go a lot lower in the very near future. Okay? I do think we're going a lot lower in 2026. But I'm actually going to stick to my prediction. I do think we're going to finish the end of the year higher than when we started it. But again, when I say those things, I'm not talking $126,000. I'm talking $95,000, $90,000, around that area. Now then, the next iteration of the White House stablecoin yield discussions between crypto and the banks has been scheduled for Tuesday. A source within the banking industry tells me the conflab will again be staff level, but this time representatives from the banks themselves will be present alongside industry trade groups. Now, the issue here is very simple. Stablecoins can pay you 4 to 6%. Banks can pay you 0.25%. They want to stop stablecoins from being able to pay yield because there will be a bank run. Why will there be a bank run? Because the banks don't have your money. The banks lend out your money and only probably hold about 1% of your money in the bank. So if you want to get your money out, you've got to give them 24, 48, 72 hours notice. Why? Because they don't have your money. They run on what's called fractionalized reserves. So for every $100 you put into a bank, there's $1 there. $99 is lent out. Mortgages, whatever it might be, short-term loans. And that's what they make their money on. Stablecoins hold treasury debt, US treasury debt, that pays them 4%. For every $1 that you have of USDC or USDT or USD1, you know they have $100. Sorry, they have $1 for every dollar that you've got. They've got the $100 for every $100 that you hold. Your bank doesn't. Your bank has $1 for every $100 that you hold. That is where the difference is. Okay? Now, Talking of World Liberty Financial, you will notice a new logo on our screen, and that is because we are partnered with and promoting World Liberty Financial. We don't know for how long, probably for the next month or so, maybe a bit longer, who knows. And that does not mean that we have to include stuff like this. We are going to do specials like we do for Maple Finance, where we do twice a month we talk about Maple Finance, twice a month we talk about World Liberty Financial. But if stuff comes up, we will always cover it because I cover World Liberty Financial anyway, and that's how they found us in the first place. Now, they are honoured to welcome Jacob Hellberg, Undersecretary for Economic Affairs in the White House, to World Liberty Financial 2026. The World Liberty Forum is in about 12 days' time. The who's who of who is going to be there, and I'm expecting announcements at this. I don't know what those announcements are going to be, but I'm expecting announcements. So we're going to keep an eye on that one, and probably in 12 days' time we will do a stream about what has happened there. Now then, you think losing a few $1,000s on your portfolio, your unrealized losses, you think that's bad, okay? Charles is down $3 billion. Now, when somebody says, I'm not in it for the money, and then immediately tells you they're down $3 billion, it's not. Okay, don't listen to them. It's like Crypto Lifer, okay? I believe in God, look at my Lambo. I believe in God, look at my house. I believe in God, look at this, okay? What people say and how they say it tells you a lot about a person. Charles Hoskinson has lost $3 billion in unrealized losses on paper because he holds ADA, he holds Ethereum. They're down, they're unrealized. They're only realized when he sells, okay? And I'm not having a go at Charles. Charles is one of the good guys. But don't say, I'm not in it for the money, and then literally without taking another breath saying, I'm down $3 billion. It's like saying, I believe in God, I'm a humble person, I believe in charity. Do you want to see my blue Lambo parked in the driveway? What you say and how you say it have to kind of tie up. So, just bear in mind, people lose. And he isn't the worst, by the way. I mean, Tom Lee must be flapping right now, because I think he's down $8 to $10 billion with the Bitwise Ethereum treasury. They must be getting absolutely hammered. But, it's unrealized because they haven't sold. And this will pass. This too shall pass. This is what we've sat here. We have talked about Bitcoin wicking to numbers in the past which end in a 9, haven't we? We've wicked to 49. We've wicked to 79. What did we do? I think we wicked somewhere near 59. So that should tell you these things happen from time to time. Now then, Eric Balchunas, who is one of the good guys as well, along with the likes of Charles, is filing for an Ondo ETF. Never heard of this one. Sounds like the name of a planet in Star Wars. Ondo is, of course, one of our favorites. Okay, one of our favorites. Real-world assets, bringing real-world assets on chain, giving you access to shares in companies that maybe you weren't able to buy in the past because of your location of your net worth. All of those are good things. Do I care if BlackRock make money out of it? No, because you make money out of it as well. If the rich boys can sit there and buy Tesla and sell Tesla and buy Apple and sell Apple, and you can't, that's unfair. What this does is it brings all of those different types of shares online so you have access to them. That's what matters to me, okay? So everybody is going to make money along the way, and as long as you can make money along the way, that's all I care about. I have said time and time again, Donald Trump is in this to make his pound of flesh. If he makes America $10 trillion and he walks away with $500 billion, I don't care, because it's a net benefit for the USA, which is over there, thankfully. Okay, that's how this works. Ondo is going to, over probably the next 5 or 10 years, become one of the go-to hubs for tokenized stocks and shares and things like that. And the value of the share will go up in price. The token will gain value because the asset will have a lot of value, and it's just going to develop over that time. And something else that's going to develop over this time is Maple Finance. And again, I will point this out to you every time this happens, because it's important to look at projects when the S hits the fan, okay? When everything is rosy and Bitcoin's at $150,000 and you wake up and there's just $10 bills landing on your head, okay? That's all rosy. I can sit here and tell you everything is great in the garden. But when there are times like mass liquidations like we've seen, it's important to understand that these products work, and Maple Finance's products work. We've had this conversation maybe 4 times. Liberation Day, 10th of October. Recently, I think we had another one in November. Again, now, Maple's loans are based on collateral. So 300 million Bitcoins goes in, $100 million in loans comes out. Bitcoin drops 50%. That collateral is only worth 150 million. You need to top it up. Maybe you need to get it back to $250 million in collateral. That is what happens. Over collateralized means there's more assets deposited than the loan taken out. And I have been keeping a beady eye on this, because it's important that I bring you the right information. And what I want to highlight here is this line: a number of loans were actively managed and closed. I wanted clarification that that didn't mean liquidations. So I contacted them this morning and said, can you just clarify if this means that the lender dealt with you on this, that this wasn't liquidations? And they've come back to me and said very clearly, the loans were managed between the client and themselves and closed, which means the client paid back the loan and got their crypto back out, not liquidations. 70 margin calls, and I don't know if you remember the last time this happened, it was 19 margin calls, because of course the market collapsed massively more than it did a few weeks ago. So everything is still rosy in this garden. And again, this borrowers added $280 million in collateral. That just means that the collateral that they were putting up for their loans was falling. They had to add more collateral. That's all this means. Now, thankfully, the reason that Maple Finance has all of these checks and balances in place is to make sure that everything stays as it is. Now, a little bit of a warning here. There's a very good chance we're not going to make it to the end of this stream in terms of going through these articles. And the reason is the Bitcoin Cycle article, which I'm going to bring up on here, is going to take me some time. And the reason it's going to take me some time is I want to basically replicate what I did in the video so you understand where I think this is all going to come to a head. Okay? Right, Bitcoin sell-off may be done. Analyst flags recovery signs. And again, whether I agree with this or not, you're going to find out at the end of the article, but I have to kind of cover what other people are saying as well. Otherwise, you're just going to listen to me. And that really isn't the way I want to do things. I'd rather find people that have different opinions and then I can talk about them, rather than just me reading off a list of things that I agree with every day. Who does that benefit? According to Matt Hagen, Chief Investment Officer at Bitwise Asset Management, much of the crypto complex already went through a down cycle last year, even though headline coins look steadier. He points to heavy buying from ETFs and companies that kept Bitcoin, Ether, and XRP from showing the full brunt of those losses. Some tokens without that same support fell hard, in many cases 50 to 60%. ETF flows and corporate accumulation have shifted the balance when institutions buy more than new supply pressure. Price pressure changes. We've covered that many times before. We ran the 4-year cycle last year. Haugen said, we're already at the bottom. I think we're coming back up. That's me shaking my head if you can't see. I should have a little thing, AI in the corner, that basically puts things on the screen to detect what I'm saying, whether I'm being serious, whether I'm joking. ETF purchases and corporate hoarding at times outpaced newly mined Bitcoin. We've been telling you this for 2 years. This is going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back. when the Bitcoin supply and exchanges drops to certain levels, it will hit the press. That will cause FOMO, and then we're going to see a price surge. We're not going to go to $1 million, but we're going to see a price surge. And that, last time we looked at this, maybe even 6 months ago, I said we were 18 to 24 months out from being able to do that. So from where we are today, we're probably 18 months out from where we are on doing that. And that takes us to the summer next year. Maybe it goes to the end of next year, but at some point next year, towards the end of next year, we're going to see that supply shock really bite. And the only thing that's going to stop it from biting is if the price of Bitcoin collapses, which then forces the long-term holders to move their crypto to exchanges and then basically capitulate. And maybe that happens this year, maybe next year is recovery. But I do think at some point there's just not going to be enough Bitcoin to go around. Now, it will move up in price, and then we will start to see the flows of Bitcoin come back onto exchanges, of course. But how much are you going to have to... Let me ask you a question. And maybe half of you are asleep because it's Saturday morning. In chat now, give me a price you would have to sell your Bitcoin. Every one of you out there has one Bitcoin in your pocket. How much does the value of that Bitcoin have to be for you to sell it? And I want you to give me one number in chat. And again, I don't have everybody's chat open, by the way, so I can't really see what everybody is saying. And if you're all asleep, you're all asleep. That's fine. But if you want to give me a number, that would be good. My number is simple. I would sell half of my Bitcoin at $1 million a coin. And not probably much less than that. Maybe 750, 800,000 I'd sell half my Bitcoin. But by the time we get to that price, there's going to be products in place maybe that mean I don't have to sell and I can just borrow against it. But that wasn't the question I asked you. The question I asked you is, when are you selling? I've had a very good response already. I'm going to read this one out. My holdings get passed down, so I'm never selling. Michael Saylor has said that when Michael Saylor passes away, his keys are going to be lost and his Bitcoin will be lost forever. I don't like that idea, because at some point we simply run out of Bitcoin. There's no way we're going to get to the stage where there's 10 million Bitcoin left because everyone's done it for the family and died and taken the Bitcoin with them. I think passing it on is a good... I mean, to be honest, that is kind of what I'm thinking with the Oracle. I'm thinking we get a structured product in place, we get a trust in place, and that Bitcoin gets locked away in a trust on a 999-year trust, whatever. And then that Bitcoin stays locked forever, and then the interest gets paid out. That is my thinking. But anyway, so I'm going to sell between $750 and $1 million. That's my sell price. But thank you for answering. I haven't gone to Binance, so I apologize to the people on Binance if you've put a comment in chat, but I can't have 18 windows open. Now, in answer to this question, there are two things, really important things to look at here. ETFs. Have ETFs made a massive difference to the price of Bitcoin, Ethereum? Absolutely. Have the ETFs inflated the price of Bitcoin and Ethereum? Yes. They've inflated them, but they have actually papered over the cracks. We got to 126,000 with ETFs. Where would we have gone without ETFs? Would we have even broken 100,000 without ETFs? What about Ethereum? Ethereum got to what, 4,500, nearly 5,000? Would it have broken $4,000 without the ETFs? I mean, I was saying back in the day, I was saying basically Ethereum's going to go over $5,000 when we get staking and we get ETFs. We nearly went over $5,000, wasn't far off. But the point of the matter is, did it paper over the cracks? Is this guy correct? Now, the one thing I will disagree with is, in every other cycle, we have done a few things. The money's come into Bitcoin, it's then rotated into Ethereum and the alts, and that's what leads to the alt season. Now, that pretty much is what has happened if you look at the charts. And Ethereum topping and Solana topping, they don't top months after Bitcoin tops. They top days after Bitcoin tops, if not the same day. So I just think because we had no blow off top, we didn't get the alt season that everybody wanted. Bitcoin dominance didn't really break down. And at the end of the day, we are where we are because we had a flat bull market. Now, I have also said from November onwards, December onwards, we've not had that blow off top. So we're not going to come down as far as where some people predict, because there was no euphoria. There's no panic selling. Mags has said 750,000, selling half as well. And Manji said 250,000. Do you know what? You got to look at it this way. You've got so many years left on this planet. You get $750,000 in your back pocket, 600,000 euros, 500,000 pounds in your back pocket, and you lock that away earning, I don't know, 4%. You're making 20, 25, 30,000 a year in whatever currency you are. If you can live off that for the rest of your life, what more do you need? Who are you trying to make rich? Are you trying to be rich? Are you trying to have a rich family? Are you trying to create generational wealth? Or are you trying to create a legacy? Are you going to create a legacy where you're gone and in 50 to 100 years' time, your future generations say, what an absolute legend KB was. He bought the Bitcoin. He locked that Bitcoin away. We now live in this massive mansion. We never have to work again. We're all massively overweight. We all can't swim because we can't see because our eyes are so swollen from all the champagne and caviar we have. We're going to thank KB. Is that possibly how you want to do it? I mean, that's how the Rothschilds live. That's how all the aristocracy still live in France and England and Germany. They still live off their generational wealth. Why can't you create generational wealth for your family? Kevin Bacon, the Bacon Empire, again. Now then, so I kind of agree with him that I think ETFs papered over the cracks, but I don't believe that the bottom is in and this is the end of the bear market. Now, this is the bit which is going to take some time, and I'm going to ask you all to sit there and bear with me, okay? Because these aren't my numbers, okay? I didn't make these numbers up. These are factual numbers. And they're in the video. There's a proper big, long, I don't know how long, 12 or 15-minute video on this. And what we're going to focus on is two things. We're going to focus on the highs and lows of the cycles and the times between the two, okay? So what did Bitcoin get at the peak? What did it get to at the depth? What did it get to? How long did that take from top to bottom? And what was the drawdown? And drawdown, I mean, going from $10,000 Bitcoin to $1,000 Bitcoin. Now, I haven't got the accuracy on here, so we're just going to basically play this by ear, okay? Now, if you want to go and get a coffee because you don't like charts, this is the time to go and get your coffee. Right. This was the all-time high in 2021. This was the all-time low in 2022. This is, just give me a second. We're just going to give you some rough numbers here. And you have to bear with me because this is not something I normally do. So the 2021 top, November 2021, bottom, November 2022, 370 days from top to bottom. And another thing to bear in mind, which I covered in this video, is we're going to do this. Okay? Right. Actually, that's the wrong one because that is horrifically big. There we go. Right, 370 days, top to bottom. Now, maybe we're not going to go through all of these. Maybe we'll just pick another one. Am I using the wrong chart? Okay, it doesn't matter. We're on the wrong chart. So we're just going to talk you through this. So 370 days, top to bottom, last cycle. Now, we're going to go, and I'm going to basically highlight some data on your screen now so you can see what the issue is that we are going to discuss. I'm just very quickly going to type this up and put it on the screen. Now, like I said, I want to preface this. This is not my data. This is the data from the charts. Now, let's see if this actually appears on here and is legible. So, in 2021, that 370-day drop took us down 77 to 78%. So top to bottom, 770 to 78%. In 2017, we had an 83 to 84% drop down in 360 to 363 days. So pretty much the same amount of time as 2021. Then, in 2013, we had an 85 to 87% drop, 400 to 410 days. Now, you might be asking, why are there different ranges? Because I'm looking, I basically got the data as an average from multiple exchanges, and different exchanges had different days for all-time highs and all-time lows. They were out by a few. If you look at, for example, Binance, and you look at the date on there and the time on there, it's different to different exchanges. So, the rule of thumb is it's about a year, a little bit more than a year, and it's at minimum a 77% drawdown and worst 87% drawdown. That's what you need to know. Now, my question that I got in chat before from a gentleman was, where are we going to go and how long is it going to take? And that answer lies about there. Okay? About there. And this is as close to an accurate level of statistics as I can give you. Yeah, we all do. Right, so the first thing to bear in mind is there are some prices that I'm going to put on your screen now, which are probably going to scare you. And you are quite right to be scared, because again, I don't have any reason to doubt these numbers. Now, these are the drawdowns. In fact, hang on. What I should probably do is give you the percentages at the same time, so you have any idea of what I'm talking about. And then we can kind of talk about these as well. So, time-wise, we are looking at October this year for the bottom. October this year is the bottom. That is based on the data. 360 days is the shortest we've ever had a top to bottom, a bear market drawdown. 360 days. So it would be foolish to say it's going to arrive in February or March or April. These are the facts as we have them. The next thing we need to do then is very quickly show you what numbers we are talking about. And again, this isn't what I think. I'm going to tell you what I think at the end of this, because that's what's important. Data is always going to be more accurate than I am. Now, this is where we are. We've got 126,000 as our top. We do a 50% drawdown and we go to 63,000, which I will drag from here, which is about there. Well, I can't quite get the actual price, but you know what I mean. So, 63,000 is a 50% drawdown. And you might say to yourself, but Mike, you told me before that 77% drawdown is the one we did last time. I did. And that would appear right there. This is a $29,000 drawdown. And then the next one, which is where I think we're going to go, is right there. Okay, so they're the three lines on the chart. Let's try and give you some space. Okay, so if we go off the data and we ignore my opinion, your opinion, and the opinion of your favorite influencer, October, between the beginning of October and the middle of November, is the bottom. And the bottom is likely to be 50,400, 28,900. That's the bottom if we go off the data. Now, the reason there's a 50% drawdown on there is because the ETFs have got involved. And that's what I wanted to talk about, is the fact that the 2021, 2017 and 2013 drawdowns did not have the ETFs. And I have said multiple times that ETFs have broken Bitcoin, broken Ethereum now. And the reason is they work as an independent kind of influence on the price. MicroStrategy has been around, but again, it's always kind of like it's passively buying in the background. It's not really making a massive dent. ETFs have bought as much Bitcoin in the last 2 years as Satoshi Nakamoto holds. They hold over 1 million Bitcoin, so we can't ignore them. So the 50% drawdown to 63,000, that was simply me saying, I think with additional buying, we might come down to around the 63,000 level. But 50,400 is probably more accurate. Now, that's the time scale, October this year, and the prices are. And again, in my video, I discounted 29,000, and I said 50,400 or 63,000. They are the two prices that I would hang my hat on. Okay, that's what I would hang my hat on. Now, the next thing to bear in mind is let's look at what we talked about on at least 3 of our videos that we have made. And that is this. Let me just bring up my brush. We broke below the bull market support band. Check. We got up to the bull market support band. Check. We got rejected from the bull market support band. Check. Now, where I expected us to come to was about here, which is 80, and then I said at worst 74,000. Okay, at worst 74,000. Bitcoin was having none of that. Bitcoin has retraced this green line on here. The reason I've copied this green line is this is a replica of the top to bottom from 2021. So I've literally copied the top to bottom. You can see that we should bottom over here with a few squiggly lines along the way. But hang on. We've had our first $10,000 red candle in the history of Bitcoin. We lost $10,000 in a day. We have sunk faster, monetary terms wise, than in any point in the history of Bitcoin. Obviously, because the price is higher. But in terms of an actual fall, it's not. It's been worse in the past. But that's not what I'm saying here. We have come down to where? Where are we sitting right now? We are sitting at the 2021 all-time high. I have said on many occasions that Bitcoin goes back to its previous all-time high before running on up. And now we are in a really sticky situation. And the sticky situation is we've got there and it's barely February. We're not talking June. We're not talking August or October. We're talking February. So what has happened is we've had these cascading liquidations. We've basically done a 12-month move in 4 months. That's what we've done. That's what I've said in the video. And we are stuck. Where do we go from here? The two options that I see right now are a relief rally. So if we look at what happened here, let's get rid of these things for now. We don't need these anymore. We're kind of done. Right. Let's move up a bit. Right. So what did we do? We came down. We went to the bull market support band. We rocketed down. We had a little bit of a switch up. And then we did this. So what could happen is we now do some kind of move back up. And where would that move back up be? Well, when resistance becomes support, we're happy. But when support becomes resistance, we are not so happy. So if we were to look at something like that line there, which is about... Oh, put the wrong thing on. Hang on. If we look at this line here, which is about 74,000, maybe we come up to 74,000 over the next month, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and then we come down again. And then where we come down to could very well be this area here where we wicked here, and then we slowly recover. Option 1. Option 2 is we do this. And we basically move up. Do you know what? One bloody day, I'm going to figure out how to do this without messing the chart up. We're going to come up. We're going to get to around this level here, and maybe we just do that. Because what do I always say about July and August? Waste of time, go on holiday, come back in September, probably going to be at the same price or within 5% of the same price. So I think we get a relief rally, not a very big one, and we may have just had it, by the way. If we go on to a shorter time frame, you'll see it's not much of a relief rally, to be honest. Or we go up, we get rejected at the 74,000 mark, we come right back down again, and then we get a little bit of a sideways action. We get to October, November, then we go back up. What happens on November the 6th? It's the midterms. 6th of November, I think, is the voting day. It kind of starts, I think, in September and October, and then it kind of like has the final day on November the 6th. The midterms, in every 4-year cycle in the S&P, the S&P performs poorly before and great after. So, if we have a similar situation with Bitcoin, we are going to see, hopefully, a move back up. Now, if we go over here, we will see that we started to break out after the midterms, which was pretty much the beginning of 2023. So, maybe we break out and head for this direction at the end of 2026, beginning of 2027. That is, in a nutshell, as much of an answer as I can give you as to where we are going. And that is based on numbers. It's not based on my opinion. My opinion is we don't go to 29,000. But my other opinion is we might go somewhere between 50 and 63,000. And we're already at 68, having been rejected off about 71. So that is kind of where I'm talking. The only biggest issue is that instead of doing this, instead of having a kind of more methodical breakdown, we've literally just gone straight down. And again, I can't answer that. So that's where we are with Bitcoin. That's in the video. If you want a more in-depth video, or sorry, a more in-depth description, you need to go watch the video. I've tried to upload the video to Binance Square. It's too big to go up onto Binance Square. But I have made a video, maybe 12 or 15 minutes about it on YouTube. Go and watch that if you want to find out more. But that is everything I've talked about in a nutshell. And I can't really I can't really add anything else to that other than my personal opinion, and this was trying to be objective rather than subjective from time to time. Let's see. I want to retire and leave Bitcoin to my daughter. Absolutely agree with that. I think that's a great sentiment. I think I would like to leave it to Bitcoin. Structure is still intact on the monthly with a potential higher low into key support and resistance. Weekly close is important in my opinion. Again, I think we have to have a bounce. And the reason we have to have a bounce is we go back to the old adage, nothing goes up or down forever. We've retraced massively. We've fallen massively in this time. Bulls, you hear about them becoming exhausted. Bears also get exhausted. Look at what they've done. Look at what they've done. They've absolutely trashed Bitcoin. Trashed it. Terrible. Terrible. We have got a bottom signal. I'm starting to get messages from people on Facebook again and on WhatsApp. So normally, as I was saying to you back in October, I think the top signal was my WhatsApp messages. I think the bottom signal is my WhatsApp and Facebook messages. And I think my trigger that we should have all listened to was a week and a half ago, when I said, I think we should sell. I think I'm going to sell my Ethereum, and I never did. Maybe in 2020 vision, we look back and say, you know what? Maybe there are simple things out there. We're getting our 16th storm of the season today, and they're all coming from Portugal. So who do I blame for the storms? Mags. Mags is clearly to blame for the storm. Kevin Walsh will trigger Bitcoin regime shift, Jeff Park says. He is going to be the new Fed chairman, by the way. And I think things are to do with timing. I don't think Kevin Walsh is solely responsible for the gold and silver corrections. I don't think Kevin Walsh's appointment is responsible for Bitcoin dropping 50%. I just think he was one of these guys who he's not necessarily, by the way, pro interest rate cuts, by the way, because he hates inflation, quite rightly hates inflation. So I wouldn't hold him wholly responsible for everything that's gone on. But if you go back, if we said, right, let's go back, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks to before Donald Trump announced Kevin Walsh, and we took a price of Bitcoin, gold and silver on that day, and we look at the price of Bitcoin, gold and silver today, you will see there's a massive difference to the downside. Now, we can't blame Kevin Walsh for the price of Bitcoin, silver and gold the same way we can't really blame Mags for the storms coming from Portugal, can we? It's not Mags' fault there's a storm. I'm sure Mags doesn't want the storm. Nobody wants the storms, okay? Everything I own that has gone into the outside world for the last 4 weeks is damp. Shoes, trainers, socks, trousers, shorts, jackets, everything's wet. And it's been wet for weeks. It's the wettest I've ever known it in 20 years of living here. But I can't blame Mags. We can't blame Kevin Walsh for this absolute tank to the downside that everything's faced. Gold was going to correct. Silver was going to correct. Maybe his appointment was the trigger, but it's not necessarily down to him. Whoever was buying silver at those prices needed a head check. Okay? How long do we have? We don't have a lot left. You know what? We're going to move on. Asset prices have all gone up, referencing a frenzied rally in metals and corporate credit spreads near all-time lows, providing there's actually is a lot of reasons to think that Bitcoin should also have already participated, but it didn't. It didn't participate because Bitcoin is a risk-on asset. Gold has traditionally been considered a risk-off asset, so gold and silver will go up. Bitcoin will not go up because it's the opposite. It's a risky, if not the riskiest asset. So in times of trouble, in times of need and doubt, gold will win. And then when the money comes in and the market sentiment changes, gold will go sideways, maybe come down a little bit from where it is now, and Bitcoin will win. And then we will go back to Peter Schiff calling Bitcoin a bubble at $150,000 like he does every cycle, and he'll say the same thing, it's a bubble. Okay? But when gold comes down, That won't be a bubble, of course, because that's gold. But when Bitcoin does it, it's a bubble. We've been in this incredible bubble, by the way, because I bought Bitcoin at $3,000, and last time I checked, it's $67,000. So this has been an incredible bubble for me. Now, again, we don't want to talk too much about this because we have kind of covered it, and I am running out of time. So very briefly, this is to do with the... this is to do with what we covered, and I'm trying to keep some articles together rather than one and done, where we talk about something and never talk about it again. I'm trying to kind of keep the story going here, so you kind of keep up to date. Now, Vitalik has basically said there's no need for layer 2s anymore because Ethereum solved the trilemma, which I never remember: security, decentralization, and speed. That's the trilemma. Been around for 50 years. Computer networks that are in many, many different places cannot be incredibly quick and incredibly secure. Okay? They can be in a few locations and be quick and secure. They can be very insecure and quick and decentralized. And Ethereum has always relied on security and decentralization. And speed was always the layer 2s. The layer 2s were created to solve the trilemma. That's what they were for. He turned around and said, there is no need for these layer 2s. They're a waste of time. Go and do something else. And I disagreed with him. I said there needs to be specific layer 2s, like the stablecoin layer 2s, for example, like the layer 2s for real world assets. I think Mantra has got its own layer. Well, it's not really layer 2 now, it's layer 1, but you know what I mean. I think there needs to be specific reasons to run off an EVM L2. So Tomasz Stanczak raises concerns over L2 direct and L1 design. Ethereum L1 scaling sits at the center of Tomasz Stanczak's disagreement with Vitalik. Writing as a core developer, he questioned why ETH should continue building complex stateless features directly into layer 1 when layer 2 networks already exist to handle state scaling. In his view, pushing advanced stateless designs into layer 1 goes against Ethereum's long-term standing goal of simplicity. Again, there are arguments for, there are arguments against. Maybe it's about control. Maybe Vitalik just wants to control the entire Ethereum ecosystem and doesn't want to rely on the likes of Polygon, Arbitrum, and Optimism. Maybe when Vitalik was a little boy in the playground, maybe somebody hurt him. Maybe somebody stole his teddy bear or his ball and didn't give it him back. And maybe he said to himself on that day, in that playground, in that rain, in Portugal, because that's where he's from in this story, and he's raining and the rain is running down his face, maybe he said to himself, I can never trust anybody ever again. And therefore, Ethereum is going to be all things to all men. It's going to be fast, it's going to be secure, it's going to be quick, it's going to be decentralized. And I'm going to run it all, because if I give my teddy bear to Sandeep, Sandeep's going to run off with my teddy bear. Maybe that's the story. Maybe. And again, these are all about fiefdoms and ivory towers. And that is what Vitalik may be heading towards, doing it all himself. Who knows? For Stanczak, layer 2s were designed to absorb this complexity so that L1s can remain stable, predictable, and easy to verify. From this angle, Ethereum layer 1 scaling should focus on gradual capacity growth, not deep architecture shifts that blur the line between L1 and L2. I would agree with that statement. I think that we need to make Ethereum the mainframe, the base code, and then I think we should allow people to build on top of that. Whether it's an L2, whether it's a specific L2 or generic L2, whether it's a Polygon, who knows? But what I would say is, back when Polygon was the L2, and there was no Arbitrum and Optimism, Polygon was getting very big. And I would argue, and probably Sandeep would argue, that Ethereum made some moves to stifle the growth of Polygon. Because for me, Polygon was cannibalizing Ethereum. And maybe Ethereum made some moves to basically nullify Polygon. And then along came Arbitrum, along came Optimism, and a few others. And maybe that's what they did. Maybe they thought we just need to slow it down a little bit. And maybe that's what they did. XRP price leads altcoin revival. One of the biggest bounces was XRP. And I did say, and I have said many, many times before, when there's a correction in the market, look for what bounces. Okay? And we can very quickly show you what we're talking about when we say what's bouncing. Bitcoin is down. Is that 18%? Bitcoin is down 18% in 7 days. What bounced? These coins bounced. These coins have moved roughly 30 to 40% against Bitcoin in a week. So these coins bounced. The ones which I will draw your attention to will be the likes of Hype. Hype is up 8%. Bitcoin down 18, Hype up 8. What else is up? Anything else up, or what has lost less? All the stable coins are in there. Morpho is only down 5. Stacks, Ton, Kronos has only dropped 5%. Unbelievable. Hedera, Aster, WorldCoin. So, again, what is bouncing right now? Midnight is up. Lighter is up. Lighter has retraced an awful lot from where it was. So look at these two figures. 7 days. MYX, Memecorp, Decred, Midnight, Hype. They're the gainers. But then look at the market caps. Which of these are solid projects? The only one really, apart from Memecorp, is Hype. That's what I would say. They're the ones that have bounced against Bitcoin. And I mean bounced. I don't just mean slightly outperformed. So that's something to bear in mind. Anyway, so XRP has bounced. It was the biggest gainer on Friday or Thursday, I can't remember one, and it absolutely rocketed to the upside. It's now coming in at about 140, was it today? 139, 140 yet. So that's not done too badly. Again, I'll go back to the comment that I made. Which one I'm going to bring up? We don't have a lot of time. I'm not going to look at the HBAR article. We're going to run out of time, and I don't want to do that. Look at your bags right now. Okay. Look at what you've got. Look at what's down. So look at the purchase price. Look at the price it got to, and then look at the price today. So let's do this together. So XRP at 30 cents, I think is what we bought it at. It went up to, what did it get to? 370. Let's call it 350 for argument's sake. It's currently at 140. What coins of yours did you buy and then the price go nowhere near the price you wanted it to go to, and probably not much higher than you bought it for, and then look at where it is now? So let's take Solana. Solana, hopefully you were buying in the $50 to $100 range when we talked about it at the time. Maybe you were buying at 125, 150. Maybe you were buying at that range. We're at $85. This is the coin that I don't hold enough of, so this is the one I'm really interested in. Now, the way I would look at this is, we, and the Oracle especially, was buying this down here. Okay, this is when the Oracle bought. Now, we, myself and the Oracle, we've got a base price of about $50 for argument's sake. Now, where did we go? We topped out at $253. Then we had another top up here, let's say $250. So we 5x'd Solana, and now we're currently about 1.8x up, something like that. But we 5x'd. Is that a good return on Solana? Absolutely. XRP, 30 cents to $3.60. That's a 12x. And again, a great return. But we never sold. So, if you're in the same situation that we are and you haven't sold, which coins are you still in profit on? Which coins, now you've seen this cycle and you've seen how the market is going, which is aiming towards companies that make money, companies that make a profit, companies that have got real-world applications, people that are in RWAs, the top coins, which of those do you not hold enough of? And the way to work that out, again, going back to the main chart, Bitcoin is the total market cap is 2.32 trillion and Bitcoin is 1.35 trillion. So out of 2.3 trillion, Bitcoin is 1.3 of it, which is what percentage-wise? They used to have it on here. Have I made it too big so it disappears? I think I have. It's not there anymore, is it? Nope, it's not there. Okay. Bitcoin is about 60% of the market. Now, look at the fear and greed. We're on 8. Okay? Believe you me, it can go lower, but not much. You buy below 20 and you sell above 60. That is another rule of thumb. So, do you hold roughly 60% of your portfolio in Bitcoin? If not, you buy Bitcoin, not financial advice. Let's say your portfolio is 80% Bitcoin because you love it, but you want to dabble in some altcoins. You've got two things you can do. You can either go and buy Hype, because that is, if you look down here, what's green over the last week when everything has seen its backside? Hype. Okay, $32 a little bit high for Hype. Yep, I'd prefer it $20 to $25, but you know what? I want to fly to the moon, but I'm not going to. So then you'd be looking at Ethereum, BNB, XRP, Solana. They're your next probably 4 coins that you should be looking at. Do you hold enough Ethereum? Is Ethereum ever going to go and do a $20,000 Ethereum? Probably not in the near future, but it might go back up towards $5,000 or $6,000 in the next run. So you're only looking at a 3x from here. Bitcoin from here, you might be looking at also maybe a 2x, 2.5x. So then you're looking at BNB. It's pretty heavy already at $633. It's only down 50, 60%. XRP, however, and Solana, which are the two next tokens, they're both down about 66%. So could you see, if XRP went back to its all-time high today, it would 3x. If Solana went back to its all-time high today, it would do a 3x. So if you're looking at value, you're looking at those coins. Now, if XRP goes below $1, Solana goes below $50, $60. If BNB, I mean, I bought BNB at $204. It's still 3x up. So I'm still in the gravy. Maybe I should have sold at $1,500, but I didn't. So I would be looking at the coins that are big enough that they get the attention. They are projects which are making money, making a profit, and are likely to grow. Now, the other thing about XRP and Solana is they are both ETFs. And as the article we read at the beginning was talking about ETF, it's eyes on. Eyes on Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and Solana. They're the 4. Now, in the future, very near future, we're going to get a BNB ETF. We're going to get a Cardano ETF, probably a Hype, probably the others. But I think the impact will be less. So, in this situation, with a fear and greed at 8, with possibly Bitcoin dropping another 30%, and bear in mind, it's only a 30% drop to 50,000. We've already dropped 50%. It can go 30% lower. Say to yourself, right, have I got any funds on the side that I can buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, and BNB? Have I got funds there to dollar cost average in? And what prices do I want to buy in at? That's what I would be doing right now. And you have all the time in the world. I told you back in September, pack your bags. Bags were packed. 2 weeks it took us from packing your bags. Not 6, 2 weeks. Straight up. Straight down. Okay? You've now got forever. If we know the bottom is going to be October, we're now in February. April, May is the very, very earliest anything could happen. But we're likely to probably have a rally between now and March, April. So it's not the end of the world. It's time to sit there with a clear mind and say, what do I not own enough of? And I don't mean your $10 million tokens. I mean serious projects. One of the things that we are quite happy about is the fact that we have been saying for so long, you need to buy serious projects. And that's what we've been saying all along. Yes, we've looked at coins that have come up. Yes, we've looked at coins which have potential. But the majority of the time, we talk about the coins that we think are actually going to win and do well. So that's what I think you should do. And again, I'm not saying you should buy Solana or XRP. I'm saying, for me, if I had to pick 3 tokens outside of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and maybe, Bitcoin and Ethereum. If I had to pick 3 tokens out apart from those two, it would be XRP, and I would be looking to buy XRP as close to $1 or 90 cents as possible. Solana, I would throw the kitchen sink at Solana at $40 to $50 if we get there. But I would. And I would be talking about buying probably another 50 Solana at that point. That's how underweight I am on Solana. But then I can't ignore hype. And you shouldn't ignore hype. And maybe hype wants to scale a 10x from where it is now. Whether it does that or not, it doesn't really matter, because if it only scales 3 or 4x from where it is now, it's doing incredibly well. I think it's talking about doing $1 trillion a day in perps and whatever. Now, I don't know if it's ever going to get there, but even if it goes higher than where it is now and does a 2 or 3x, it does add value to the token. And again, you've got to be careful with things like hype. You don't buy into the hype and buy it at the wrong price. You can own Nvidia tokens and Tesla tokens. You can own them. But if you bought them at their all-time highs, what was the bloody point of doing that? You buy Tesla when the cars start crashing and they blow up and they fall into the sea. That's when you buy Tesla. When do you buy Nvidia? When they release a chip and it's got a million of those chips have got faults in it, they don't know where they are. That's when you buy Nvidia. You buy them when everybody panics. So, what are people doing now in crypto? It's over. It's a failed project. Somebody sent me a message and said, is Bitcoin finished? That's a bottom signal. If I have to listen to my own advice, it's a bottom signal. So when people panic, what do? You look to buy. You look to buy. If somebody ran out of a clothes shop with a £500 jacket and said, oh my God, an asteroid's going to hit Earth. Do you want to buy this jacket off me for 200 quid? It's brand new. I would give them the money before they'd finish the sentence and take that £200 jacket and go and wait for the price to recover, and then I'd sell it for 600 quid. That's what this is about. People think asteroids are going to hit the Earth and wipe us off the face of the Earth. That's what people do. They panic. You don't panic. You should look at the market whenever stuff like this happens and say, what can I think about starting to buy? I have plenty of time. And you can go and listen to other people. You can go and listen to the Bitcoin maxis that say dollar cost average into Bitcoin every week for the next 5 years you'll be rich, and they will be right. You can listen to maybe Solana maxis who will say we're going to go to $500 in 3 years' time. You can be buying it right now at $85 and you can do a 5x, sorry. Go and do that. But if you want to go and buy the tokens and actually participate in crypto and own the things that work, you buy almost everything on your screen now. You clearly don't buy Tether. You clearly don't buy USDC. They're not included in this conversation. And you absolutely must not buy Dogecoin and Bitcoin Cash. Not financial advice, but they're trash. Okay? Everything else on the screen, people can make an argument about why they are solid projects. And I would probably have to tend to agree with them. So don't fall for the panic. Remember what I said about the climate crisis. I'm old enough to remember what they were telling me in the 1990s with acid rain. Oh, there's going to be no forests left in Norway. We're going to be 18 foot underwater in 2000. Now, don't get me wrong. Clearly, we need to do things. I'm not saying that I'm a denier of anything. Clearly, we need to do things. But clearly, talking out of your backside to get people to believe you is also not the way forward. And that's a very valuable lesson that we learn on this channel, which is try and tell the closest thing to the truth that you know. And then you can do no wrong. And we have been wrong probably more times than we've been right. But at least we've told you what we think, not what we want to tell you because we want to tell you that we're going to be 18 foot underwater and all the polar bears are going to come and eat us, because that's also not the truth. And as I've said, people telling you $250,000 for Bitcoin in December are as bad as the same people telling you we're going to $10,000. They're equally as bad. They're just trying to grab your attention. They're like that girl who doesn't wear a lot of clothes, who stands outside the nightclub to get you inside. And then when you go inside, it's dark, cold, dingy, stinks, and it costs you £20 a drink. And that girl is nowhere to be seen. They're as bad as each other. So try and keep a level head. Look at this as a golden opportunity. Maybe you get 2 months at these prices. Maybe you get 6 months of these prices. Maybe you get 6 months of slightly lower prices. But this is a really good opportunity to stack your bags. That is how I look at this. Should I have sold October the 10th? I was never selling Bitcoin. The only real asset I probably should have sold was Ethereum. That's probably what I should have sold. I didn't. I didn't hold enough Solana to sell for a substantial profit. But everything else I could have sold. But we are where we are. So look at what you can buy. Hopefully take some comfort from what I've told you today. And hopefully you've got some good advice. And I must admit, I absolutely love Saturday streams. And I might have to do something to stream on a Saturday. I'm just reading chat. Oh, wow. It's terrible. In Portugal, it's flooded. Good morning, Tariq. It's a red day for all. Absolutely. I will never buy again, says Tariq. That's very true. That reminds me of that comment. I am going to drink. I'm never going to drink again. Oh, no. I'm never going to drink anymore. And then the next line is, I'm never going to drink. I'm not going to drink any less. So that's how I went with that. Only Gold. There's a lot of FUD in the space right now. Is this really a bear market or the last shakeout to fuel the next leg up? KB, we do not allow bullish talk in this chat at $68,000. I have my own thesis based on aggregation, which differs from most. Honestly, over clickbait, we do appreciate it. I try. And like I said, I'm going to be honest. I think we're in a bear market. But I'm also going to be honest, and I don't think, because we didn't get the blow off top, I don't think we're going to get the drop that people think either. Also, I don't know if you've noticed in the news, but Bitcoin, Google search results have skyrocketed. It's the highest level in about 3 or 4 years. So people are now looking for Bitcoin. Maybe another hypothesis is this. Maybe the fact that Bitcoin was over $100,000 scared the hell out of people. Maybe people went, I don't want to buy a Bitcoin, I can't afford it. Because that is another problem. If I said to Tariq, and again, this is an old joke about the Irish, I don't know if you know this joke. So basically, an American soldier goes into an Irish bar and says to this Irishman at the bar, do you want this terrible, horrible piece of paper? It's rubbish, it smells, smell it. Or do you want these shiny coins? And the Irishman goes, I'll take your shiny coins. And then the American goes back to the table and has a laugh with his mates and says, stupid Irishman. He's turned down $20. I've given him $6 in change. And then the Irishman sits at the bar talking to the barman and says, that's the 6th time this week that stupid American has given me $6. There's a lot to take out of that joke. Okay? There's a lot to take out of that joke. And one is, always take the shiny silver coins, because in the long run, they will do far better than the dirty pieces of paper. And on that note, I'm going to go. Have a great weekend. I'm probably going to set up the videos for the week. We don't have a quiz on Wednesday. We've got 2 quizzes. We've got the Maple Finance quiz, which we've done. And then the Wolf Swap quiz, or the Wolfies quiz, sorry, is the 19th or the 18th of February. Isn't it something about Valentine's Day? Oh yeah, I'm streaming on Valentine's Day for Maple Finance. So next Saturday is the Maple Finance stream. Anyway, have a great weekend. I'm not going to keep you any longer. Tariq, keep the faith, Tariq. It's not the end of the world, okay? They're unrealized losses, okay? You haven't lost anything until you sell. And if you don't sell, you don't lose. Anyway, Manjeet, thank you. everybody, for coming. I'm going to go over to Binance now and have a read of the messages and say goodbye over there. But thank you for coming. Have a great weekend.